A warm welcome to the news in details. I'm Olive Nete. Now starting us off tonight, the President of the Republic of the Congo, His Excellency Denis Sassou Nguesso, has concluded his three-state visit to Rwanda. He was seen off at the Kigali International Airport by his Rwandan counterpart, His Excellency Paul Kagame, and other dignitaries and officials from both countries. The Congolese president's visit to Rwanda marked a major and historic milestone in the relations between the two countries, with an emphasis put on the need for all African countries to work together in the peace and harmony for the sake of long-term economic development on the continent. Now moving ahead, as the percentage of Rwandan unity has reached 94%, the RPF Inkotanyi urged all Rwandans to avoid any kind of ideology that could be the source of division, creating divisions or discriminations, since all this sets back the progress that has been made. This was reiterated in a consultative meeting on the unity of Rwandans organized by the RPF Inkotanyi. Adam Squizera with the report.
Over 800 people, including RPF cadres and other national leaders, attended the consultative meeting at the headquarters of RPF Inkotanyi in Rusororo to discuss various issues that threaten national unity. The vice chairperson of the RPF Inkotanyi, Honorable Uwimana Konsole, reminded that the unity of Rwandans is untouchable, as she urged everyone to fight against anything that could shake it.
The unity of Rwandans is an unbreakable principle, as it is even said that unity is a journey. For RPF, it is a journey that will never set back. The ratings that was shown literally shows that we are in a good position, but even the gaps that was demonstrated, if we don't take any immediate measures, we might be complacent, but stepping back is impossible. As Rwandans, we pledge to stand on our unity, as it is also emphasized in the Constitution, as it was reiterated. But in order to strengthen that unity, we established the program of Rwanda. We are here as members, as even our manifesto of 2017-2024, as our candidate promised the members to promote our unity. After the tragedy of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, after all those lessons, we shouldn't allow these gaps, such as these of Abakono, to keep happening and taking place in our country.
Currently, the rate of unity among Rwandans is at 94%, but the Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement noted that there should be no complacency. One of the recent activities of the RPF Inkotanyi recently condemned and said that it is not a good example in strengthening the unity of Rwandans is the event called Iyimikwa ry'Umutware w'Abakono, which took place in Kinigi in the Musanze district on July 9th. Kazosa Justin, who was appointed to be the head of Abakono, and his colleagues admit that they have made a mistake and asked for forgiveness. We can't explain that we weren't aware of the mistakes. As a member, we know the principles of the party, particularly the one of Rwanda. That's why I want to apologize for the two mistakes I did and my colleagues. The first mistake we did was not to analyze, and the second mistake was about no view far, by forgetting our history, and we fall into the trap of doing things which you call it that are good, yet it can set back a country. So, Honorable Vice Chairman, Honorable SG, and entire members, I once again really apologize, as I promised Chairman and members that I will not again fall into such mistakes. General James Kabarebe, the Senior Defense and Security Advisor to the President of the Republic, noted that no one should ignore such things because they have a negative and heavy impact on a country like Rwanda. What made RPF fight this struggle until it got strong and liberate the country and stop the genocide was that in its operations, it didn't tolerate bad behaviors or any other related to negative tendency was found earlier, hence to get eradicated. When you let the negative tendency flow and grow, it reaches to a certain point you can't be able to stop it. Same to these things we are solving here. We're about to be like that. Today it's Abakono, tomorrow it's Abashambo, next time it's Abasinga. That's why the country could again face those divisions. As I said, ill-military. When this reaches into military, everyone cares on his people, hence that it can facilitate to someone who wants to destroy the country using those relatives. It is very dangerous. Everything with negative connotation or negative tendency or bad behavior should be eradicated at its beginning. Because when you tolerate it, it grows until it gets unconditional extent. It's not jokes. Here we're talking about the blood of Rwandans, either those who will shed or those which will shed. We have to leave this place with something in our minds on this issue solved that would kill Rwandans. That's what we have to do. It's something we have to not joke with, because it's the blood of Rwandans. The only thing that would help Rwanda is our unity. It's one that will help us to develop, and even that percentage rate the minister talked about is one that made us to be right here.
kandi naho tugeze no kuri ya percentage minimum umwe yavuze ya percentage y'ubumwe niyo tugejeje hano nta kindi.
This consultative meeting on the unity of Rwandans was organized by RPF in Otanyi, and the Rwanda Defense Force was shown as a model in building and strengthening this unity, since it is the base of sustainable development that all Rwandans want. This meeting featured panel discussions which tackled on different topics that came up with measures to consolidate the unity of Rwandan people as a major catalyst for national development. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams Kwizera, for the report. Now moving ahead, Rwanda has been ranked among the top 10 countries globally when it comes to border openness by the 2023 Q3 Henley Global Mobility Report. We do have details on the story.
Those in Rwanda's hospitality and tourism sectors have continued to praise the country's policy of an open border because they gain a lot from it.
Mountain View,
Our hotel, the Mountain View, benefits a lot because it gets many customers and we help them to learn about our country. The government has made good decisions because the more visitors a country has, the more opportunities arise. Because those visitors bring not only their money, but their knowledge as well. Rwanda has been ranked 8th globally when it comes to border openness by the 2023 third quarter Henley Global Mobility Report.
Rwanda has a lot to offer from what I've seen. I've managed to move around the countryside and I've seen that there are a number of farmers engaging in cash crops, for example, rice. And I'm sure that if we really open our market if Rwanda opens its market to the international players, for example, companies like ours who are going to make a difference in the agricultural sector, it has still a long way to contribute.
The Henley Passport Index also ranks the Rwandan passport at 76 out of 103 countries, 10 positions up from the 2022 index.
When you
open up your borders, other countries are also compelled to do the same so that development is faster for all. If I am not mistaken, you are now able to travel on a Rwandan passport to 63 countries without requiring a visa, or could request one on arrival. When it is easy to visit a country, more investors stream in, sometimes out of sheer curiosity, and it leads to faster economic development in the end. You have seen the figures from the Rwanda Development Board, RDB. Investment in the country has been steadily increasing at an encouraging pace. Last year alone, Rwanda received more than 1.1 million visitors, 60% of them from African countries, resulting in revenue worth 496 billion Rwandan francs.
Now moving ahead, the Rwanda Revenue Authority notes that it aims to collect 2.5 thousand billion Rwandan francs in taxes to support the national budget of this year at a rate of more than 52%. However, some taxpayers requested the Rwanda Revenue Authority to carry out audits on tax-free counterfeit products as they may affect this set goal. The Rwanda Revenue Authority states that in the previous fiscal year, they earned 103% of the target that was set by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. This contributed to the planned budget at a rate of 47%. In this year's plan, they aim to contribute to the national budget at a rate of 52.4%.
We already reached at a rate of 48.8% to the budget. When you look at this year's set budget, which is almost 2,637 billion, that we have to collect, which will support this year's budget, it is about 52.4%. You understand that we have reached an increase of almost 4%.
Although the Rwanda Revenue Authority has this program, some taxpayers say that there are some issues that may hinder the betterment of this program, which also may affect their businesses.
I recently heard of a campaign of urging people to drink less, but when you actually look at the alcoholic drinks we sell, it has diminished. This may make you wonder, how are people getting drunk, yet they are not buying alcoholic drinks at high rate? If the stocks of traders who sell alcohol are stuck just because the taxes are high, this means that people are interested in drinking homemade beers.
According to the Rwanda Revenue Authority, measures have been taken to avoid tax evasion and also to solve the problems that these traders may face.
Ya kode rero isabwa umuntu wese wumva akeneye kuzasaba gatuzo mu mwuga bye.
We established the code to avoid fraud activities that used to be carried out on TIN numbers. And thirdly, this also assisted us greatly because those people who commit fraud can be easily get caught, because by using the code, you can be able to know that. This is a good way to stop fraud activities that hinders trade activities. But also this will help us to work with those who want to do clean business and who are ready to pay tax appropriately.
This year, the Rwanda Revenue Authority states that it has the goal of earning 2,637 billion Rwandan francs to support this year's budget at a rate of 52.4%. Now to education matters. Education experts point out that the government policy to develop the capacity of technical vocational schools in Rwanda is among the solutions to address unemployment in the youth. They also emphasize that this can also contribute to the sustainable development of the country. We have details again. Is a student in the IPRC Musanze. She's pursuing a degree in food processing, and she managed to develop a project of producing wines out of prunes and passion fruits. As she's about to complete her degree, Chuzo said that she's no longer in need of being employed because she already created a job. I was passionate about it, and I started thinking of ways of initiating my own business. I was wondering, why would I wait to complete my degree and then start looking for a job? That is when I had an idea of producing wines, and when people tested it, they loved it. I was able to develop my project, and we tried to make use of the lessons learned in schools so that it can provide us with money. And we also do this so that we can compete at the labor market. Some of the students emphasize that the idea of establishing technical vocational schools is a good plan because most of them get employment before even completing their degrees.
We started making tiles, and our company is named Zero Waste Rwanda. We produce tiles out of trashes of glasses. We also collect those glasses from the residents, and we buy a kilo at 150 Rwandan francs. I'm working on a project using technology which helps the farmers to know the amount of water needed for irrigation while they are in their homes without moving to the plantation. Let's say if a plant needs 5 milliliters of water, he can use his phone while they are at home, and the plant will get fertilizer and water needed.
Dr. Mitende Gervais, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of IPRC Gishari, points out that the government policy to develop the capacity of vocational and technical schools is promising in terms of providing employment to the youth.
When looked back, people would always wait to be employed by the government, but now we have various requests from private companies who need our students so that they can work for them. This means that the private sector is expanding because of those who are creating their own jobs, but also many factories who are in need of our students. This has an impact. On one side, people are creating jobs, and on the other side, others are joining private companies. This shows how we compete at the labor market.
The government of Rwanda has a plan to establish at least one vocational school in every sector so that 60% of students who complete the ordinary level can join these vocational schools. This will also go hand in hand with cooperating with private sectors so that those who complete their degrees in the vocational schools can be able to find a place to practice what they have learned. The Prime Minister, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, notes that the government has started the program to develop the capacity of these technical vocational schools, which are designed to provide technical skills.
kandi tukaba tugira ngo tumenyeshe Abanyarwanda ko guhera mu kwezi kwa 9 k'uyu mwaka.
We want to announce to all Rwandans that starting from September this year, the program of awarding bachelor's degree in IPRCs will continue even in other schools across the country. We also want to establish the Masters of Technology so that the students who study in vocational schools can start with it from secondary schools to the university in all levels, be it in bachelor's, even to the master's degree, so that they may complete their degree with the knowledge needed at the labor market.
The government of Rwanda has set a goal of building 56 vocational and technical schools every year, with the aim to achieve 454 TVET schools by 2024, as set in the National Strategic Transformation Program. Currently in Rwanda, there are more than 260 public and 193 private vocational and technical schools. The recent research carried out by the Ministry of Education in 2019 shows that at least 66% of students who graduate from TVET schools immediately get employed. Now to health matters, health authorities in Rwanda urged people who are close to the borders where the polio disease has been reported to pay more attention to hygiene, since poor hygiene is the primary transmission of polio. We have details with Adam Squizera.
Polio is a disease which was eradicated in Rwanda for the last 3 decades, since the last child was diagnosed in 1993 in Cyangugu Prefecture. The presence of this disease in some neighboring countries has led to the preparation of vaccination programs for all children under the age of 7 years across the country. Dr. Selman Hassan, a division manager of maternal, child and community health at RBC, explained that the children at this age lack enough immunity to deal with this polio disease. The reason why we chose children who are below 7 years is because they have not enough immunity to fight that polio. That's why we want to vaccinate them from polio, due to that the issues we are seeing across the region, which we don't want it to come to our country. Literally, the polio vaccination is good. For parents, this vaccination is aimed at preventing this disease that can affect their children. This vaccination will help Rwandans since they will protect our children from polio. That's why we are glad that our country provided this vaccine to protect our children from this polio. An expert in vaccination programs, Dr. Nahima Rosette, who works with the World Health Organization (WHO), pointed out that this vaccination program came after long-term polio vaccination wasn't delivered to the children.
There are 3 types of polio. That is why in 2015 it was reported that the second type of polio was completely eradicated globally, as they announced. Then after some years, the second type of polio was again found.
This expert also noted that recently this polio has appeared in the neighboring countries of Rwanda, hence that this program of vaccination will help to prevent it.
It's a vaccine that has been used for a long time, and it was found that it can be even used to an infected child. That is why during this immunization program, we will vaccinate children who are admitted in the hospitals. Whoever is eligible will get these drops, since it was found that the vaccines can't stop the functioning of other medicines that the patient is taking.
For this reason, the residents near the borders were also urged to pay attention in terms of hygiene, since it is transmitted through contaminated water and food. Residents in those districts near DRC, which are Rubavu, Rutsiro, Nyamasheke, and Rusizi, we ask them to pay attention and get immunized, but particularly they should take care of hygiene, since polio is caused by poor hygiene. Polio is a disease that affects human body parts such as legs and arms, but also damages the tissues in such a way that it can cause respiratory issues that can lead to death. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news production team, thank you for staying with us. See you next.